Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another weekly episode of your Slightly Average Guys podcast. This is going to be an episode where we all look dead into the camera the entire time to fully engage our audience.
I forgot about that.
Just kidding. I doubt I'll be able to do that, but it sounds cool. But welcome back to another Wednesday. We're going to have a lot of fun here. We appreciate you being here. Like, follow, subscribe, share with your friends, all that good stuff. And we're going to kick this thing off. What do we got?
Left, right, up, down, center. A, B, left, right. All right. So sent the
Select
notification.
start.
Yeah, select start. Yeah. Then you got like an infinite lives on Contra.
That's right.
And Ryan probably has no clue what we're talking about because it's too old school for him to understand old gaming and how to crack codes. Do you remember the game? Do you even know what a Game Genie is, Ryan?
No, not a Game Genie.
I never used that.
You didn't? Like I used it
No.
all the time. Like we used it like literally religiously because that was like the only way to like originally there was no cheat codes in games, Ryan. Like the old cartridge games had no cheat codes. So you had to buy a Game Genie, which was another piece of a cartridge that you plugged it into before you jammed it into the thing that already didn't read the card too well. And then it would bring you to a screen and you'd have to enter all these like custom. It was basically like custom code because it was like AX1B03 and then it would kick off and let you like have infinite lives in a certain game. And it didn't like you still had to have the Game Genie book to know what the code was that you need to plug in before the game.
It was a lot of work.
The first time I think I finally like started using cheat codes was on my N64 with Tony Hawk Pro Skater. I honestly think that's probably one of the first times.
And Tony Hawk Pro Skater was on Nintendo 64. Like I remember that on PlayStation, but I didn't remember it on N64.
Yep, it was legit, and that's when they created the newest one, right? That's literally an exact replica, almost better graphics of the older version.
Yeah, yeah. So like I remember both of them. Like the man, did they ever release that for the Switch? They didn't, did they?
I don't think so, but I would totally get it on the Switch if it was there.
I mean, that'd be the only thing that make me want to buy a Switch instantly. Like, there's things that I kind of want it for, but like that would be like getting it because I don't really game. So
yeah, I mean, I really want to play it on my Xbox. Probably, I'd save it for like traveling and stuff like that. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, it'd just be a cool nostalgia. I can't believe they actually didn't make it for it. If they didn't, at least. All right, let's get in. They set the notification off about this, and it's something that I posted actually on LinkedIn a few days ago. And Ryan, we subtly mentioned it to you prior, and I just want to kind of get your thoughts on it. So there's a guy on TikTok doing a 1-to-1 challenge, and his challenge was, go from $1 to $1 million, and I think he had it in a year. So I kind of was like, I like that idea. I'm gonna spin that idea into something different. The same, but different. And it's, do you think you could go from $1,000 to $1 million in 1 year, in exactly a year? Like any way possible that's not money laundering.
I have $1,000 totally separate or in cash in my hands, and I have to turn that into $1 million in a year. Do I think I could do it?
Yeah.
I mean, realistically,
how
no.
close do you think you could get? You think you could make $100,000?
Oh my gosh. If I quit my job, yeah.
So that's where I started coming from on it. Like as we've talked about on this podcast, and you both of you guys and I have talked before, part of my goals for 2021 is just to try different things, right? And I like things that are side hustle, where you're gonna make a few bucks here and there and stuff. And I really want to try them, but like I'm like stoned by the fact that like I'm like, oh well, all the different what ifs and hows and such, that I'm like analysis paralysis a little bit. Why are you like off of the screen, Andy?
No, I can't like I don't know.
All right.
Bye.
You just kept getting further and further. Now I can't hear you. Did you mute yourself?
There we go.
Okay.
I don't know what's happening. This is just
New computer. You just don't know how to use it.
no. It's not even yet.
Oh,
I haven't even messed with that yet. No.
It's the old one. It's the old one. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But like,
Sorry.
to get back on topic, the fact that, you know, I want to do these things, I get into the how, and I try to start to analyze how too much to where I end up not wanting to do something. So when this thing popped up, I was like, oh, this is actually, I like this idea. Not from the standpoint of, oh, you're getting rich, you know, because that's really not what it is. It's, you set a ridiculously high bar target that you know you're probably not going to achieve, but it's like, I'm going to do every damn thing I possibly can to get there. And I'm still going to do my day job that wouldn't affect it, but I'm going to pick up a whole bunch of side hustles, and the challenge would force me to actually pick up the side hustle and do it. And it may not be perfect the way I'm doing it, but it's like literally go and try to do the damn thing, right? Try to figure out if you can make this thing happen. If you can actually turn $1,000 into $10,000 in 1 week, you know, or just into 2, just double it, right? There's just so many different avenues of it pushing you, because you're trying to hit a monetary goal, but you may end up stumbling over something that you never thought you would do, right? That you never thought you would like. Like, it's like all of a sudden like, oh crap, I'm buying books from a thrift shop and I'm flipping them and selling them on Amazon as used books. That legitimately, people make a decent amount of money doing that. And I would never try that, but in this case, I may try it for a week just to see how well it works, right? And like all of a sudden it's like, oh, that was fun. That was fun. I really want to go after that. And I try it with, you know, at a different level or a different item, you know, doing different things on. You just get down a path where it's like, oh shit, maybe this is something that could be hella fun and just awesome to do that nobody had put you in before. Is that making any sense to you guys?
It makes sense. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Do I think I can do it though? No. Realistically. That's a short amount of time and a lot of money if we're just talking like the million, right?
Yeah. So like for you, maybe like just say it's $100,000. Like maybe at the end of it, like here would be my goal. Like I'm not trying to quit my day job. My day job pays me a decent amount of money, you know, and things, but I'm also this is year 17 doing what I've always been doing. And I've leveled up every single time, and I'm close to the top rung that you can possibly get in this. So like, you know, there are times where I've thought of, oh, well, what is something else that I would just like to try to do, or just have a side job, right? That's like, oh, let me kick this around and see if this turns into another avenue for a different career, or just a side thing of what I'm doing, you know. And there's really no drive to do it other than, you know, because when you're looking at it, you're like, I can make $1,000 off of that. You're like, that's a lot of work for $1,000, right? Or that's a lot of work for $100. So you just keep, you know, kind of ebbing and flowing back and forth with an excuse on not to do something versus doing this. I think it'd be pretty decent. And FYI, my light is on. It's just that it's dying.
No way. Oh, okay.
Yes.
You're fading in the background. I wasn't sure if it was on or not. I guess I could just say it, you know. It's not like that huge of a deal, but
but the point being is trying to force myself into doing something, and then it really got me to thinking, like, this guy did it and he's posting about it and he's only like 6 months in, he's only made $100,000, right? But in 6 months he made $100,000. Like, yeah, his goal is $1 million, but at 6 month mark you can say, wow, he's not even close, right? But at the same time, he made $100,000 in 6 months. That's a shit ton. That's like what people make in a year, right? So it's like,
yeah,
this guy has stumbled across something that potentially could be fun, just to say, I'm gonna throw this out there, and at the end of the day, let's see where it lands, right?
Well, and something some people would argue, right, that you set a goal, and even though it's an extremely hard goal, like, just because you didn't hit your goal doesn't mean you didn't accomplish something, right? Yeah. So you have this goal of $1 million by the end of the year, but if you miss that goal and you at least don't go less than $1,000, right? You did something with it. I mean, if you're making money, you're making money. Yeah. Whether you're trying to start something and not making any money and just like maybe selling a few to family members and stuff, or if you're trying to sell things, right? Could be many other venues that you try to go down. But in that guy's point, $100,000 in 6 months out of $1,000, even though you didn't hit $1 million, dude. Nice freaking job.
Yeah.
Nice job.
I don't know. It just intrigued me so much that made me think of, okay, if I wanted to do it, I would legitimately do it. I would post about it all the time saying, hey, this is what I'm doing. But with the impression of, I'm not trying to sell you, right? Like whoever's watching it, whether it's on TikTok or YouTube or wherever else. Hey guys, I'm not like everybody else that currently is trying to sell something on all of those platforms. I'm just trying to say, hey, this is my journey. Come along with my journey. If you would like to do one of these things that I've talked about, yes, you can click my affiliate link. And yes, I do get paid off of that, link or whatever it is, buy this product. Yes, that's how I'm making money, but that's not how I'm trying to make the money. I think that's what would be different because everybody else is trying to go out there and do those type of shenanigans,
Yeah, for sure. For me, it would just be having the dedication, right? To be able to do that. And I'd probably have to stop doing something or multiple things of what I'm currently doing. I play volleyball, or used to, right? I stopped, but I was playing volleyball twice a week. I was playing softball once a week, and I was going bowling once a week, which are all like, a couple hours, time, right? And a couple hours, if you think about it, after an 8-hour day, like you have so much extra time to still work. But of course, then you're eating, hanging out with family, friends, all that good stuff. So I think I'd have to have the dedication, and I don't think I could get there.
Andy, what about you?
No, I think I'm in. I think doing something to give it a shot, like Ryan said, if I don't lose, worst case scenario, I make nothing. Right?
Yeah. Like you're starting out, you're putting the $1,000 in, right? So like that's all you're risking. And to some people, that's a ton of money. I understand that. Like that's not what I'm trying to downput anybody on one thing or another. It's like that's what you're gonna risk. If you lose it in week 1, like you made a bad decision, right? So the decisions you make in the first 30 days of trying to, whether you're just trying to double it or triple it or quadruple it, no, like not like you got to make sure you're smart. Because if you lose it, and that your journey's done, right?
Let's start with your stimulus check.
Exactly.
It's coming real shortly.
Exactly.
Put $1,400 or whatever it was. Use that. So that's not hurting you. That's not, unless you obviously need that money for other things. But start with that. See what that gets you.
If you got the last $1,200 one, or the very first one, right? If you got that $1,200 and you would have put that alone into Bitcoin today, it would be worth almost $12,000. You would have tenfolded your money.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So that's crazy that you mentioned that, because I instantly think taking $1,000 and starting a business, right? I'm not saying it has to be a brick and mortar business. I'm not saying it has to a business. It has to operate. It has to take time to build. It has to. So yeah, of course I could take $1,000 and make more money out of it. I'll just invest in, some type of stock. So that's the easy route. Whether I made the right decision or not is the other question. But yeah, so I'm sorry. I could try it as well. I was just thinking more like brick and mortar business style.
And I'm saying anything that's legal, right? I'm saying legitimately anything that's legal that's out there in order to go out there and try. And maybe it's just something that you wanted to mess with, like I said, the flipping of the books, or hey, you're really passionate about X, Y, or Z, and you want to start doing
or this podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
We could take this podcast as an example. We've all spent some money to get setups to do such stuff, right? We could just see how that plays out. We spent X amount of money. What did it turn out to be at the end of the year?
Yeah, you put $1,000 into marketing it, and now you build the audience, and now you have X number of people that are watching. Now you can monetize it and so on. Like again, now, do I think one strategy is going to get you from $1,000 to $1 million? No, absolutely not. In a year, definitely don't. I don't care if you're in the stock market, unless you're getting lucky and doing just something totally crazy. That's the only way I think that you're going to end up making the $1 million off of that, right? But like, say you say in the first 2 weeks you doubled it, right? You end up with $2,000. Then you took 1,000 of that, put that in the stock. a stock or a multiple stocks. Now that's out there playing with one game. Now you have the 1,000 that you originally started with. Now you're going to use that to try to do something else again to double it. And while that other one's making you money out there, again, it's the whole premise at the end of the day is trying to make it to where you are non-reliant on being totally independent, right? Like you just fall into independence because, hey, this thing's growing. It's how you're actually supposed to use money. It's make money work for you. Even if you have a savings account, that's not really how you're supposed to use money. You're supposed to use the money to bring in some cash flow. You know, we've always joked before at previous jobs of, you know, there are those certain businesses that are called mailbox money, you know, where it's not free. You're putting in an ass load of work at one point or another, whether it's currently or way front loaded, like me and Andy are working on a certain project that is a ton of work, very front loaded on it, that then you can sell over and over and over again. And you don't need any more time other than if somebody's got a question about it, right? Like that's more mailbox money. It's like, it's reoccurring revenue that's coming in that you don't have to put in a 1-to-1 time on. Your job is a 1-to-1. You give up an hour, they give you X. If you don't give up an hour to them, they don't pay you X, right? Even if you're salaried, you get fired after taking too many hours off. Like, so that's a really bad business model of how to make sure you have income coming in.
Well, I have unlimited vacation, so I don't think that applies to me.
Yeah, take a year off. See. Again, they will probably gladly let you have the time off. Whether they're going to pay you for that time off is, you know, a second.
Yeah,
So,
understandable.
But like, I just wanted to run it past you guys and see what you thought. I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but I've like, the more I thought about it, the more I started getting pumped because me and Andy, like I said, we've already working on some other crap that's out there, which I would like to wrap into this type of a thing, a challenge, and literally just throw it out there to other people to try to challenge it again. And that's why I like it to be like the 1-to-1-to-1. It doesn't have to be 1,000, you know, to start with. Maybe you have $1, you know, and maybe you're not going to 1,000,000. Maybe it's you're trying to go to 100,000, you know, $100,000. You know, it can be changed up whatever way you want, but the whole idea of it again isn't about at the end of the day becoming rich. It's about forcing yourself to do things that you're not comfortable with that you may find out that you love. Because we're all, after 2020, I think, potentially stuck in a big fat rut that we would all love to get out of.
I want to point out that we do not pay people to watch our streams because it looks like we do. Slightly average, Ryan, slightly average Roger, Chrissy, Andy.
Everybody's just changing their name to be part of the cool crowd.
Be part of the group. Change your name to be Slightly Average. I'll just pop in there to act like we have like an actual viewer, follower,
Yeah.
you know, different name. I just thought it was funny.
You know what's funny about that? So Andy and I were just down at a CPA's office and getting some stuff set up for our projects, and the guy goes, well, I'm setting up another LLC, and he goes, well, what do you want to call this one? And I just threw out, let's just call it Slightly Average Ryan. He started laughing. I'm like, all right, let's go with it.
Sweet.
Yes. So that's what it's going to be. All right. Next up, because we are in that month and hopefully everything's not being canceled this year, which as far as I know, it's not. It's March Madness. So, I really wish I had like a yeah. So, Ryan, how excited are you?
I am pretty excited because I've been watching a lot of basketball this year. A lot of Purdue. I mean, I've been working from home, right, since last year, March. So I'm just really excited because I watch TV basketball on my monitor over here. You know, I'll watch basketball on that one over there behind me. So I've been watching a lot of basketball. Now, in March Madness, even you could watch all the basketball in the world. You could be a sports announcer and announce every single college game and watch everything and be all analytical about it and still have no clue what's going on in March Madness.
That's right.
So I'm not saying I've watched a lot of basketball and I know what's going on. I'm just saying I'm excited to see the teams that I've been watching and see how they do in this massive tournament. You know, obviously I'm hoping Purdue does well. They're in the tournament. Some other Big Ten teams go Big Ten, obviously. But there is a new challenge coming up, too, with Gonzaga having the opportunity to be the first since like the 1970s or something like that to be the first team, not first, obviously, but to be an undefeated team. Have a 100% undefeated season. So I'm excited to watch them. And I have a bracket as well, a bracket that people can join for money and then potentially win. So it'll be a lot of fun. I'm excited.
So who's your pick? Do you want to
Gonzaga?
Yeah. Okay.
They're a powerhouse right now. So while I was watching, the announcers are always announcing the games and stuff like that, and they're always commentating and then just having fun in the background. And one of the announcers was like, man, this game is not giving Gonzaga much of a challenge. Their best challenges and their hardest challenges and obstacles are within practice. Because they have such a powerhouse of a team that their most challenging parts of any game or tournament is their practices for it, which is pretty crazy.
So is your Final Four all number 1 seeds?
No. I'd have to look at it, but I would say no. So I do have Purdue in there. I think Illinois is in there, which is a number 1 seed. So no.
Okay.
I got a lot of upsets. I have a lot of upsets.
Nice. All right.
It just happens. It always does.
Yeah.
But of course, with my luck, it's going to be one of those years where a lot of upsets don't happen, right? That's part of March Madness.
Sure.
Just straight luck of the draw.
See that, and that's the time where you want to put the money on that upset in Vegas. Because you guess right, you might do pretty well.
Yeah. Those are some strong upsets. And there's even a thing, within the tournament, right, within the bracket, that you could have different points based on upsets too. So I just did more of like a traditional, hey, somebody wins, you get points or you don't get points. But there is another one where you win, you get points, but if you win and you get an upset, then that's even more points. And I just didn't want to do that.
Okay.
But I'm excited. Have you been watching any basketball? Are you excited for the tournament?
I'm excited. I typically watch occasional basketball for college here and there, but I don't really get into it until March. And really it's because of what you said, right? I could follow every team, every game, whoever I'm thinking is the favorite, but come March Madness, it's pretty much a crapshoot, right? So I'll follow a couple teams, maybe like leading into it. I'll watch to see how they do in their conference championships, and maybe take a look at their last 10 or 12 games. But typically those are conference games anyways, right? So and I don't really have like a strategy other than a safe bet of taking each number 1 to the Final Four or real close to it. And then from there, just trying to figure out, okay, who's doing what, especially with teams that got hot recently, right? Because if you get on a hot streak and you ride that into this tournament, that type of energy can definitely take you. I think, whenever I think Steph Curry's final season in college, and they had I think they had 2 upsets in the first round and the second round. I think they got bounced after that. But that type of energy when you get hot as a team and just carrying that into the thing. So, we'll see. I'm more excited about really the gambling aspect of it, right? So the daily games on that first week, not even the playing games, but just that first round, and making a parlay bet and hope I get all of them right and multiply my odds if I'm lucky. So that's kind of what I like doing.
Yeah. And so, Ryan, I'm glad you commented because that was funny. Roger probably did that on purpose anyways, but oh my gosh. Soccer. Yeah, soccer. Yeah, no, wrong sport.
They actually don't have a basketball emoji, which is weird.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was looking for one because I was going to post it and it didn't work. So.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
Ryan, do you care? Do you, are you?
I used to be a basketball person like 15 years ago, but it was again I've never been a college person. Never been a college person on any college sports. That's just all through and through. So never been a huge March Madness, which is funny because I'm coming from Indiana, which is huge basketball. But doesn't mean that I won't get into stuff. And usually, like, kind of was into football before, and then all of the freaking fantasy football kind of crazily took off, especially with all of our office workers, you know, like 5-6 years ago. And that like hardcore got me into football, except for this last year. So I'm kind of hoping, yeah, I'm gonna do it. Hopefully it'll make me get into it and watch it way more than I ever would. It's just not my cup of tea, but I think this is gonna make me want to. But you know how I'm gonna pick is the like, you know, hey, slap your fingers and whichever one, you know, hurts more, that's the one that you're gonna go with.
Okay.
Is that even a thing?
Yes, that's how you pick. Like, yep, it's the second one. It's the second one.
I feel like that was pretty even. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, don't do them right together. You gotta.
I didn't. I went like this.
Oh.
All right, I went like this. That's
Okay.
interesting.
As everybody's eardrums are getting blown out each time we're slapping the desk for things. Okay. Next topic that I want to get into is something else that I have messed with in the last weekend, and I thought it was dumb. I don't understand why anybody ever did it until I tried it, and now I'm a crack addict on it. Crypto mining. Just one of those things that's like I don't get it. I don't understand how people are making money off of it. Didn't understand it, and I was like, again, one of those things I'm just gonna try. So start researching it, looking around. How do you do this? Watched a few YouTube videos, programmed it in there, set the damn thing, told it to go, and I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. Messed around, I got it working a little better. I'm like, I just make like $3. And I that day, and I didn't do anything. Everybody's like, $3, that sucks. I'm like, I'll make like 25. I didn't do anything all month long.
Oh.
You know, then I changed some stuff up. You can make more money and more money and more money. Like, I understand how people have bought every single graphics card that you can possibly get for computers in order to build their own little crypto mining rigs, just because it's addicting. It goes back to that mailbox money. Like, either of you two interested in this?
Yeah, so I got a computer today, set it up today, and started mining, and I'm currently doing it right now. So, absolutely.
Well, you guys already know. I'm excited to it's kind of like cool and weird and interesting, like all at the same time, right?
Yeah,
Like this is something like even me, right? I'm just like, what? You're doing what?
Right?
What are you doing? And so just like the mysteriousness, if that's a word of it,
Sure.
is intriguing to me. So, you know, I even thought like, oh, well, during this that 1,400 stimulus check, well, heck, I'll just go buy another I'll just go buy another graphics card, you know what I mean? I think you can hook two up within a
They have to
within
be,
a PC.
depends upon your motherboard, and you'll want to use the exact same graphics card because the one will choke the other one potentially. So,
Oh yeah, you're right. So yeah. Anyways, I do
May
think
have
it's
tried that already.
interesting,
just
and you know anything could come of it.
Yeah.
You know, all you're doing is turning your freaking PC on and doing a little stuff and a couple clicks here and there, and then boom, you leave for a weekend, and this thing's just working in the background.
yeah. So the deal is like, okay, there's websites that you can go to which you'll plug in the amount of power that the computer's using, which it like the one that we are using literally tells you the amount of power that just that card's using, which I like because like my computer's on anyway. I'm working on it anyway, so hey, you're good. And then you run a certain thing in the background, so you only have to worry about the additional power that you're using over the top of it. And I don't mean actually working. I meant like messing around on the computer at night. But like then you type that into this calculation on the website. On the website, it'll also ask you, hey, how much do you pay per kilowatt hour or whatever? So you enter that in your plan, and it will tell you whether it's profitable or not. Because there's a potential to where if all of the crypto, whatever you're mining is potentially the value is so low that you're using more money and power than the amount of crypto that you're mining at the exact same time, which doesn't make it profitable. Right now, that's almost you're good on almost all of them, but it gives you the ability to do that type of equation to make sure you're not just spending more. Now, if you're mining it to hold it because you think it's going to go up again. Okay, then all you're out is the power bill that you're going to end up paying. So,
Yep.
but again,
I'm excited.
wild west of things, with crypto mining and Bitcoin, and I'm not doing Bitcoin. I'm doing Ethereum, which I think that's what I've talked both of you guys into on doing things. Which is if once you mine one coin, it's worth currently today $1,800. So, yeah. Again, it's already sitting there. Might as well do something with it.
Yep.
I bought a massive PC with decent amount of money, right? Might as well make it do something for me instead of just straight up entertainment.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, I'm not gaming now, so which I don't game at all. So it's like, well, I might as well do something with that piece. So anyway, okay. Next, I want to follow up with what you guys are watching because I really like that segment, and I'm going to start it off. I've been in a lull with wanting to watch TV, A, because I've been so busy with a lot of different things that I'm working on, but B, there hasn't been a much new TV shows haven't come back like they're supposed to. I love Survivor. Survivor hasn't come back yet. There's some other shows that I love that just haven't come back yet. Or
has The Challenge come back? I know you were into that.
Yes. Yeah. So that's come back, and that's actually on right now. It's actually tonight. That's on Wednesday nights when we record this live. That's on. So that's one thing, which is funny because that's also produced by Viacom CBS. But most of the general stuff just isn't. And there's some shows ended, last 2019. So I just hadn't had much to watch. And you guys had mentioned that you guys are were into New Girl again. And I'm like, man, that show was funny, but I don't really like rewatching stuff. So the other night, it's like a week ago, wife and I were looking for something. I was like, I'm just going to put on New Girl. Put on New Girl. Hilarious. Funnier than I remembered it, and like now we're like 20 episodes deep into the first season. And I'm like, this is freaking awesome. Just cracking up laughing. Like, don't remember me laughing that much at the first time that we watched this show, but it's good. So if anybody hasn't seen New Girl, you need to watch it on Netflix. It's funny. It's not really heavy. It's something that you could put on in the background if you wanted to and get some laughs out of it. It's good.
It really is just one of those things where, we all had those moments where you're just clicking and scrolling through Netflix to whether you're trying to find a movie, whether you're trying to find a new TV show. If you just literally are doing that and you just go to New Girl because you're just like, screw it, I'm going to watch something, you won't be disappointed.
Yeah.
And New Girl is one of those things, and I think along with some other shows, for me specifically, like Parks and Rec, right? I can always go back to those two shows and just be like, I've never got into The Office, sorry, but I love all of that stuff. Parks and Rec and New Girl, they're amazing.
Yep.
So Andy, what are you currently watching?
So in my current rotation, I started Snowpiercer, the TV show, started back up.
Okay, yeah. I only got like halfway through the first season, and then I just got busy and forgot to keep on watching it.
So first season's great. Second season started off pretty cool. I've only watched like 1.2 season episodes. And then recently we started watching on Hulu Hip Hop Undercover. And
Hip Hop Anonymous? Hip Hop Anonymous?
Give him all the easy words. So it was advertised on a commercial of some show we were watching, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Because it basically, the premise is telling you about this underworld of how hip hop started that you might not have known about, right? So we all know, like, I was born in 1980, so I grew up with the 90s hip hop. Ryan Tedder was, I don't know, it doesn't even count, so we'll just exclude him. So, like Dr. Dre, Snoop, all of that great stuff. But what they don't tell you, which there's 6 episodes and they're phenomenal. They don't tell you who's responsible for the rise of this, right? So we know as the public, we know the group, Run DMC, some of the people from like back then, and then as it kind of progressed into the early 90s, NWA, Dr. Dre, and like the East Coast, West Coast. But what you don't know are the people that were like these pioneers behind hip hop. And there are 4 individuals that you look at and you're like, who the F are these people? These are just regular people. But these people are essentially the reason for and why we have what we have and how it evolved, right? So it follows people. It's so interesting.
Is this a documentary you said?
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. And when you start to watch it, and they highlight Tupac and they highlight some of these guys, and again, you're like, how I didn't even know these people, because we just aren't privy to that type of thing. And I think with Death Row and like some of that stuff as it came out, NWA was a good look on the behind the scenes and how, but this really gives you some inside information about, the streets and like who these people were that really pushed forward, and how there's this, and they talk about this a lot. There are industry people and there are street people, and the street people were drug dealers. Like, they lived on the street and they had this hustle mentality, and they brought that into this music business, and that became so successful because they brought these people that were trying to get out of gangs and out of violence into this world, and they had that same mentality. Like, it's phenomenal. I highly recommend it. It's on Hulu, Hip Hop Undercover, or Uncovered. I think I'm 5 episodes into 6. It doesn't really talk in like detail about Tupac getting killed or Biggie getting killed or some of that, but it really highlights these 4 or 5 individuals where you're just like, this is a regular dude, or this is a regular lady. And then when you really start to learn about them, I wish it went into more detail, but you're like, holy cow, it's so interesting. And I love that kind of stuff. So if you really like that behind the scenes type of thing, and when I watched NWA, I liked that part, because the whole like formation and foundation of stuff is great, and like the product, obviously you love the product, but it's like, how did it happen? How did it become what we saw? And the creation of it, I love that. So this has been very, very interesting. Like, one of the best documentaries I've watched in a long time. And it goes from like East Coast, West Coast. There's some parts in there about Detroit with Eminem, obviously, but it's even, I mean, this is like 10 years before him in Detroit, and this is like late 70s, early 80s, and then through that to I assume it'll come into mainstream. It's really interesting. I highly recommend it. So that's what I've been watching mostly.
Yeah, I mean, the beat is very vital,
It is.
So I just messed that whole thing up.
Yeah.
I really wanted to say,
And it's tricky.
This is my recital,
Yeah.
I really do think it's pretty vital to rock around. That's right. Oh, I love Run DMC. I think they're amazing.
Yeah.
So I know some of absolutely of what you're talking about. I'm not just a 90s kid because I was born in it. I lived it. I still live it.
Sure.
Anyways,
no, it's very, very interesting. I highly, highly recommend it. And they're like, I mean, I don't have the commercial free version of Hulu, so it's at least an hour, right? At least 50 something minutes, if not a little longer, over 60. But even sitting through the minute 30 commercial here and there, like, it doesn't even
I
matter.
actually prefer the short little commercials. I think they're nice.
Yeah.
Especially when watching a movie, it just makes you like get up and like go somewhere real quick, grab a drink. It's kind of nice.
Yeah.
But
And then the only other one in my rotation is I started back with Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I love that show too. So that's what I got going on.
I haven't necessarily been watching TV shows, but I am in the MCU right now. The Marvel Cinematic Universe, which I didn't know that's what people referred to it as, the MCU. It's like, what kind of rap group is that? And it's a lot. There's like 21, 22 movies. Each movie from Marvel that they push out is like over 2 hours, right? It's not just some Netflix original that's an hour 20, hour 30. So I got a lot of time into this, and so does Corey. We're trying to watch it together. She's enjoying them as well. We're going to watch one probably after this. Nice. But they're awesome, Guardians of the Galaxies are just really great movies. Iron Man's, obviously everybody should love those. Yep. So I'm enjoying it, and I'm really excited to get towards the end, towards Infinity War and Endgame. Yeah. And watch those with friends as well, because I heard those are cool.
Let me ask you this: are you watching them like in the order that they were supposed to be?
Oh, like, yeah. Did I not say that?
Yeah, no, you didn't.
I'm sorry. I am watching these in order, timeline order.
Okay, good.
So, obviously Endgame is the end one. And I'm watching, they jump around like crazy, right? It's like Winter Soldier, it's Iron Man, it's Thor, it's then Iron Man 2, it's back to Thor. Yep. It's all over the place. So yeah, I'm watching them. And there's even some Spider-Mans in there too. But I heard from MCU, Marvel doesn't own the Spider-Mans yet, so they can't necessarily put them in there as the timeline, but they are absolutely in there.
Yep.
So I've been watching those on the side as well. But yeah, I'm just having a lot of fun with it. There's a lot of stuff that you see because you've seen some of the movies and you'll go back and watch them, and then you're just like, no way, like really, that's that guy. But there's movies that I still haven't seen at all as well, like Endgame. I haven't seen Endgame yet.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, I did that like right when Corona started and everybody got put home. I did that over like a course of, I think it took me like 3 or 4 days. And it was a blast. I mean, that's all I did, right? The whole day. But it paints a different picture when you do it that way, obviously, seeing some of the things that you might have missed. And I like when you read some of these people's like blogs or thoughts about here's why this particular thing happened. Like when there's one part where all 5 of the Avengers are standing there after, I think at the end, and each one represents a different stage of grief based on their reaction. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. So I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You take some of those fan
And
theories.
to go further into Roger, your question, if you have Disney Plus, you can actually go to Disney Plus, go to Marvel, and you just keep scrolling after you hit Marvel, and it literally says
Chronological.
Avengers movies in timeline order. So you don't even have to like Google search it. If you have Disney Plus, you can find it right there. And that's where I'm watching it. But of course, you can always Google them and watch it on whatever platform that you decide. So I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's good.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go and say one more thing. All right, if you are a fan of Star Trek in any manner, and I've said this a little bit before, okay, in any manner, you need to go watch Star Trek Discovery because it is awesome. It is awesome. It's one that was on CBS, what was used to be CBS All Access. They first like half of the season they've released on normal television, and then after that, like you've had to have, you know, CBS All Access in order to get it. Now it's Paramount Plus. But I tried to talk Roger and Cheryl into watching it about 6 months ago. They said, yeah, we'll watch it. You know, never got around to it. And then like, I don't know if it was like this weekend or like middle of last week, they finally like started watching it, and they're like, holy shit, this is so good. And ended up staying up all night long watching it, you know, and then where they were watching it on only had season 1, and they were like, I need season 2, where's it at? You know, type of stuff. So it's so freaking good. I highly recommend if anybody again is a Star Trek fan. It's such good storylines, such good graphics. It's not one of those that you have on in the background because it's not heavy in the storyline, but there is a storyline where you got to be paying attention just because, again, Star Trek is kind of like what they've done with Star Trek is a little bit like the MCU, where things are like integrated together, and certain movies have changed the perception of the timeline on things. But like this one is connected with the other ones, and it's funny because they talk about the best captains that have ever been, and they tie it to Picard and Jonathan Archer, which was the previous Enterprise, you know, the most recent Enterprise remake that they did like 10 years ago. So Voyager, they connect stuff together. It's really, really good. Season 1 is phenomenal. Season 2 is great. Season 3 is just like,
yeah, I'd be totally down to watch that. I think my next one from the Marvels is going to be Star Wars, because I've been really wanting to knock that in timeline order. You know, the 1, 2, and 3 will probably be like nice and fun to watch, but watching the older ones from my point of view might be a little like, all right, come on, like. But I've been really wanting to do that. But is that a TV show, you said?
Yeah, it's actually a TV show. So it's I think
cool.
it's an hour-long segments. I don't think it's an hour and a half. I think they're hour-long segments, and literally
I'll have to check that out.
It's good. One of those where like you want to watch something to where like you feel engaged, not just sit there on your phone, you know, like good. Again, you got to be a Star Trek person, but even if you're not a Star Trek person, but you like sci-fi, just give it a shot. Give it a shot because it's great. It's so well done. So well done. All right, everybody. Well, we've come to the end of the episode. We appreciate everybody watching and listening to us. As always, we record on Wednesdays at, it's 8 p.m. tonight, but we usually try to shoot for that. We were a little bit later, but appreciate everybody joining us, and we'll launch it on Thursdays. So please like us, subscribe, and give us a review on your Apple podcasting app. So we appreciate that with Andy's little squirrel hand. I don't know why that's there. We will see everybody next week.